An investigation has been launched into a major fire at a derelict hospital in Dundee. Around 30 firefighters tackled the blaze last night at Strathmartin. Police and fire officers are now trying to determine whether or not it was started deliberately. Craig Miller reports.
Firefighters were this morning damping down the aftermath of the fire which caused major damage to these buildings in the grounds of the former Strathmartin Hospital. Last night, Teesside Fire and Rescue had to call in reinforcements to tackle the blaze, deploying an aerial platform ladder. It's the second fire at Strathmartin in the last 2 weeks. This one broke through the roof and was described by officers as substantial. Scenes of crime specialists were on site today to establish whether it had been started deliberately.
What we're considering at this moment in time is that there were a number of persons seen leaving the scene prior to the fire becoming established. It's been reported that the security guard saw persons here, and we're now looking at this to see whether or not it was started deliberately.
And these people were children?
What we'd say is that they were young persons. We couldn't say for certain that they were actually children.
The former psychiatric hospital closed down 7 years ago and was sold off to a private developer. In the last few months, Edinburgh-based planning consultants have been brought in. They are talking with Angus Council and Historic Scotland about the conversion of listed buildings and construction of houses. But they say that will take time and the plans have to be economically viable. Meanwhile, councillors are worried about site security.
I feel particularly last night's event was a desecration and a slight indeed to the people who lived and worked at Strathmartin Hospital, and also to the philanthropist, the 19th century Sir John Ogilvie, who built the Strathmartin and Baldovan Institutes and bequeathed the land and indeed these institutes to the community. I feel it's a wrong that has to be righted.
Meanwhile, Teesside Fire and Rescue are concerned that any more fires will put their men at risk.
It is a concern because what we're now finding is that if premises aren't secured, that are derelict or unoccupied, that persons unknown or unauthorised can get into them, they can then start fires deliberately or accidentally, and then that puts an onus on the resources of Teesside Fire and Rescue to deal with these fires.
As long as the site remains in this condition, the authorities will be worried. Craig Miller, STV News, Dundee.